Gabriel, our charge scenic artist, he is in charge of our paint shop. How did you come up with the technique that you used to apply the moss to the set?
We used some sawdust, kind of add our paint and some tint to that, let it dry, create a texture, and apply our expanding foam, and then apply that texture right on top. Instant moss.
Right. How many different samples did you do before you came up with something that you liked?
Probably about 3 to 4 different samples.
3 to 4 different samples.
Using different little materials. And, just Michael Gagno, you know, the designer, kind of picked out which ones can look more convincing, so we went with that, and that's what you see here.
Great. How long did it take to do the ring, let's say, just putting the moss onto the ring?
Not very long, actually. A day and a half to 2 days.
Excellent.
For the whole process of applying moss and then adding a little more paint to blend it into the ring surface. So
yeah,
I think it was successful.
Yeah.
I'm pleased with the look.
Excellent.
Yeah. Cool.
Things that's most important in pulling this set all together are the finishing touches. And for this set in particular, those finishing touches are the moss and the vines and the greenery that really brings the set to life. And that's what we're working on today, along with putting up the last of our columns, which are enormously tall and complicated in the sense that the ones we're putting up right now are 2 separate pieces that start underneath the outer above, the second level of our set, and continue above in 2 separate pieces. So it's really important to try and make those lines line up going all the way up into the 4th story PMG. He is a carpenter in our scene shop who has been with us for how many years now?
7.
7 years now. He has played a major role in attaching all of the wood to the ring that we see behind us, and I was kind of curious about your process on that. Like, did you have a lot of freedom to decide where stuff went?
Right. Well, we had a very specific design from Michael Gagno as far as the placement of the logs and even what shape some of the curvy logs would take as we place them around the ring. And so,
what did you make them out of?
Well, all of the ones on the upper sections are all made of styrofoam so that they can be light. They didn't need to be structural in any sort of a way. But on these lower sections, actors are actually going to be climbing up the walls. And so we needed to make them out of 2x4 and 2x6 and 2x12 in some cases. And
so you shaped the ones to
yeah, so we shaped some of the logs to make them look more loggish and covered them with some muslin that the painters then textured to look like logs.
So what's your biggest challenge now?
Well, now we need to figure out, now that it's all in place, we've got all 4 pieces of the ring connected, it's suspended, it's not going anywhere. Now we need to figure out where and how we're going to make this climbable, how actors are going to get from deck level here into the inner above. And so I'm working on figuring out where they might be placing their hands and their feet and moving boards and jigsawing boards away to make room for feet and hands and such.
Excellent. Thanks, Elam. This is Matt Janowski. He's a carpenter in our scene shop, and he's here to translate for Tom Mulholland, who's too busy to talk to us right now. What was the most interesting part for Teeb on this ring project?
Standing in front of the bender for 3 days, bending steel.
Yeah. Why did you want to work on it?
It looked like a fun, challenging project. You're building it to be able to be climbed, so it's got to be strong. At the same time, there's a couple of dimensions to it. You know, it's not flat. It's, first of all, it's curved, and then the sides twist a little bit to meet the upstage portion of the stage that we've done. So there were, you know, a couple of different directions that it had to go. It wasn't, you know, a simple just lay out on the floor and slap it together like a standard platform or flat.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt. This is Sandy. She's one of our scenic artists. She also has a blog on the OSF website. And the name of the blog is
Making a Scene.
Making a Scene. And it's basically about some of the most exciting projects that our scenic artists do. Sandy, on a smaller scale, has painted an amazing chair.
It came to us completely painted flat black. It was a previously made chair by the prop shop, and then our designer, Michael Ganio, gave me a picture of a real wood grain and asked me to paint this. So it's actually 100% paint, just layers and layers of glazes and that kind of thing to give it this look. But
What was the most interesting part of the project for you?
I think the most interesting part was getting to know these spindles and knowing where the grain would go on something that, you know, we can all kind of like imagine with a board which way the grain would go, but if that board is turned in a three-dimensional way, like which way it would go was kind of an adventure to look at it straight but also curvy. And
All in
how
all,
it
how
spins.
long did it take you to do?
I think 4 days.
4 8-hour days.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. The smoking hat. I am so excited.
I actually think that this might be my favorite part of the entire production.
So basically, on this whole project, you've had you guys, costume props, right? And then props were helping you work with this, right? And then electrics
Right.
doing that. So it's kind of a three-department,
Intergenerational.
interdepartmental.
It's diverse. It's
Exactly.
inclusive.
That's great. Exactly.
Everything that we live for.
That's, I know.
Barely touch it, it explodes.
So that is the button that causes the whole the squib to smoke, basically.
Yeah, it starts the it ignites the electric match.
Right. Oh,
and
okay.
That makes all the powder. This is right where all the smoke comes out. It's where the chimney goes. That was Valerie's idea. So she suggested putting a chimney, and the chimney also helps protect the whole inside of the hat. So that's good. This little safety cover.
So that we don't accidentally
And then that is a little smoke gurb. Just take the top layer of smoke powder out, put the electronic match in,
Okay.
put a little hot glue on top to hold it in,
Okay.
a little hot glue on the side so the wire doesn't pull out.
Okay.
And then we hook it on up to the battery leads. There. Okay. And now it is ready to go.
Do you want to see it?
2, 1.
Ah, my head is on fire.
It's one of those days.
Did it come out below?
Just a little.
Tiny bit.
That's way cool.
Yeah.
It's got residue.
Yeah.
And that's not hot either, is it?
I can hold right onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's slightly warm.
Great.
Good?
I'm good with it.
Probably better let it cool.
Okay.
And that
out.
is the smoking hat for Robin Hood. So this is Valerie Pope, master electrician and acting head of the department for electrics for the build in the Elizabethan. Valerie, what has been your favorite part of this build?
It's been my favorite and the bane of my existence. Hidden amongst the entire set here are somewhere on the order of 360 to 400 various colored LEDs that act as fireflies and stars and create the magical world of the forest that we're going to enter into.
Okay, because I've talked a lot about the fireflies, but I didn't know that there was going to be stars and there would be other
Yes.
things. Right? How do you control that? I mean, you know.
It's all controlled through a very sophisticated light board that we use here at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival called the ETC EOS.
Nice.
Yes.
And do they twinkle, or do they just
They
stay
do.
on, or do they? Is there a rate? I mean,
We have all sorts of control over what we make them do. We can either just have them come on and stay on. We can add a little bit of twinkle to them. The fireflies themselves actually have a program to sort of light up like a firefly does and sort of
shimmer. or
shimmer
glow,
there for a
right,
second
yeah.
and then go back out.
That's so
And-
cool. You guys are amazing.
Ah, thanks.
It's here. The set is on stage and the productions are ready for an audience. We haven't even had the least chance to talk about so many things. We haven't talked about sound, we haven't talked about costumes, we haven't talked about the ridiculous complexity of how the show runs backstage. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I knew and what I do and introduce you to some of the people that I know. What I really want you to be able to do is see these plays for yourself. I want you to be able to see the differences and the nuances between each production, the big changes in the set and the small changes, and wonder, how did they do that? How did they make that piece go away and this piece come on? How did they make each set, each show so different when it's all in the same place? I can't wait for you to see the costumes. I can't wait for you to hear the music and see the fireflies and get a chance to be in this amazing outdoor theater under the stars with your co-audience members, getting that feeling of live theater in this gorgeous, gorgeous setting. I really want to know what you think about what you see, about the productions, about how they all come together and what you see. If you get a chance, give us some feedback. Let me know. I want to know, and I really, really, really want you to get a chance to see these shows.